Welcome to the Art of Being Human. Now, I started this section on distorted thoughts. It's a part of overcoming anxiety and depression, which we're working on. And we did about 3 of them. And one of them, the first one, was all or nothing thinking, or black and white thinking, in which if you're not perfect, you're nothing. Overgeneralization, if something happens to you once, it's going to keep happening over and over again. And the mental filter, where you pick out a negative detail of something that you've done and you dwell on it and make everything seem bad because of that one little thing that you did that you think you shouldn't have. So we've done those, and you will see as we go along, what I'm hoping that you'll see, it's all a matter of your thinking. These are distorted thoughts. These are thoughts that you have when you're either under a stressful situation or you've just come out of a stressful situation, and you're repeating in your thoughts everything negative that you can repeat. And so you're teaching yourself that you have a negative self-concept. Now, I haven't gone into self-concept, but we'll tell you what it is. Usually, if you ask a person what self-concept means, they get it partially right. They say, well, it's how you feel about yourself. But it's more than that. It's how you feel other people feel about you. You know, if you think you're doing things that are wrong and you'll never be a success, what are you saying? I'm never successful, so therefore I have a bad self-concept. But in addition to that, it's everybody thinks of me as being a failure, because I can't seem to do anything right. So they think of me as being a failure. So your self-concept is negative, not just because you think it is, and it's your perception, but you think everybody else thinks it is. And so therefore, if everybody thinks you're not very good, or you're not very bright, or you're not very gifted, if you think that's what everybody else thinks, then that's what you think too. So it's really a combination of what you think about yourself and what you feel other people think about you. But when you're talking about yourself in a negative way, and you're using negative thought patterns, and you're using self-talk in a negative way, and self-talk can be either positive or negative, the way that you use it, then you are saying to yourself, I'm not very good, I'm not very bright, nobody cares for me, why would they? I don't have gifts, I don't have talents, I can't do this, I fail. So my perception of myself is that I'm a failure. And the thing is, that adds to your tension, that adds to your anxiety, that adds to your depression, and we need to get it turned around. So I'm trying to show you what you may be doing in terms of negative thoughts that need to be turned around, and they can be. You know, everybody has worth. Nobody's a true failure, and you may have made mistakes. Who hasn't? You're a human being. But you don't have to judge yourself as being a total failure because you made a mistake. You know, sometimes our basic mistakes can sometimes also be our most creative moments. So let me go on with this. There is a distorted thought pattern called disqualifying the positive, in which you turn a positive experience into a negative one. Supposing somebody compliments you, you look really nice today, I really like that dress. Oh, this old thing, I've had it for centuries. I was going to throw it out weeks ago, but I decided to keep it. It's come in handy now, but it's just an old thing. So you've taken somebody's attempt to uplift you and you've destroyed it. But you've also destroyed them, because they wouldn't speak it if they didn't have it on their mind, and they wouldn't speak it if they didn't think it was true. And even if they thought it wasn't true, they want to uplift you, or they wouldn't have said it at all. So you've taken something like that, something that's nice, and you just think, oh, the judge is trying to be nice. And, you know, that's not genuine. If anyone compliments me, that's not genuine. They're just trying to be nice. So you take something that was meant to be nice and meant to be uplifted and turning it around to be negative towards yourself. And you see, we have a habit. Those people who deal with anxiety and depression, they have a habit of turning things around toward the negative. So you turn a positive experience into a negative one by thinking of the negative and responding in a negative way. You did a beautiful solo. Yeah, but I missed 3 notes. You know, who cares if you miss 3 notes? It's not a big deal. You're a human being. You've got the right to miss 3 notes. What's the big deal about that? But that's what it means, disqualifying the positive. And when you think somebody's just being polite and nice, then you cast upon them a negative self-concept, because you're saying to them, even though you may not be saying it directly, I don't trust your positive comments about me. I think that you don't have a pure motive. I think you're just being nice to make me feel good, when really I think that I'm not that good. And you're not being truthful by trying to make me feel good. Do you see the twisted logic that we have here? And it is twisted. So it's too bad. Then the next one would be jumping to conclusions. You make negative assumptions. For example, if somebody doesn't say hello to you, it must be because they hate you. I saw so-and-so today, he wouldn't even speak to me. The fact that he was looking in the other direction as a half-deaf doesn't make a difference to you. The fact is he did not talk to you, and you think and so therefore he doesn't like me. So therefore, he's not talking to me. And that can be an erroneous assumption. That may not be true. The fact is he could have been in heavy traffic trying to drive his car through an intersection that seemed to be confusing. Or he was walking by and he was listening to something that he had earplugs in and listening to it. So he just was not aware of your presence. Or he was just thinking about something else. He was just concerned about something else, and he wasn't thinking in terms of you. He didn't maybe even notice you. Maybe his glasses had fogged up. Maybe he's hard of hearing, you know. So you just assume that they don't like you, a person doesn't like you, because that if they did, they certainly would talk to me when I'm passing him by. They completely ignored me. They may not have known of your presence. So you can see that all of these things that I'm talking about here, and we have a few more to go, are based in a way that you come out to be negative and somebody else comes out as being not truthful or just trying to change the truth so you will feel better. So that's what it is, jumping at conclusion. They didn't talk to me, so therefore they're ignoring me. If they're ignoring me, it must be that they don't like me. Well, maybe if they don't like me, maybe I'm not a very likable person. And if not, I'm not a very likable person, who would want to know me anyway? So therefore, I am negative. I'm a negative person. I don't want to meet people. I don't want to do things with people. They don't like me. They're actually not talking to me, and it's just a waste of my time. Why should I bother? So therefore, I'm going to back out of the relationship. I'm going to back out of what people want me to do. I don't want them around because they're always negative. They're always saying things to me that are negative, and why shouldn't they? I'm a negative person. All of these things work together, and they all work together for your detriment. So if you have a negative thought pattern, remember, perception is everything. Perception is what you believe. It's what you think. And that perception causes you to believe certain things in a certain way, but usually you come out as being the negative one. You come out as not being good. You come out as having a bad self-concept. Why? Because I'm not worthy to have a good self-concept. Why? Because people don't like me. Why don't they like me? Well, it's because I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person because I just am. I don't do things right. I can't do things right. You know, I make mistakes, so people don't want to have anything to do with me. And if I make one mistake, it's going to happen over and over again. I cannot go over and change all of the mistakes that I've made, you know, so therefore I have to conclude I'm not capable of making good choices. All or nothing thinking. I'm all bad. I'm not good because I did something wrong. That means everything that I do is going to be wrong. Because I made one mistake, I'm going to keep making that mistake over and over and over again. So when people are nice to me, I'm going to say, it's fake. They don't mean it. They're just being nice. Why are they being nice? They want to make me feel better. I know what I am. I'm a total failure. Can you see what we're building up to on these erroneous thoughts? Yes, you may have made a mistake. And in my opinion, it's like, okay, so you made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. Most mistakes can be rectified. And if they can't, we learn and we grow from them. But we don't teach ourselves, or should not teach ourselves, that our worth is based upon everything we do right, because we can't do everything right. We're human beings. And if we understand we're human beings and sometimes we're going to make mistakes, okay, so sometimes we make mistakes, so what? And so I think what we tend to do is we look at ourselves in a society that demands perfection. We have to do it all. We have to do it all right. That if we don't do it all right, then we're total failures. But the world isn't like that. The world isn't like that. Creative people sometimes deviate from the normal, and they have to because they're creative. They have a creative bent. They do creative things. And so it's not what most people expect. So a painter does a painting, and it's not what people expect. It's not what they want, or it's something different than they would allow for. And so therefore, he's a lousy painter. No, he isn't. He's just creative. He's doing something that's different. We need to, as a society, allow people to be people. We need to celebrate their differences. We need to celebrate the fact that they're not going to be alike, that there's going to be differences, that we're all different in some degree, and we need to celebrate that. That's a good thing to celebrate. Not to make a judgment that somebody's not good because they are this instead of that. I think that's a lot of what our race relation problems are. You're not like me, so therefore you're different. If you're different from me, then you're not good, because I consider myself to be good. Or we can twist that around. You're not like me, so I'm the bad one. You're all right, but there's something wrong with me. And it's wrong with me over and over and over again. So therefore, I'm totally wrong. Other people are totally right. Why don't we say we're all human beings, we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. That's part of the nature of being a human being, and it's okay. We should teach children that just because somebody's different doesn't mean they're bad. Or just because you're a little different doesn't mean that you're bad. It's differences within human nature. But we tend to think, well, I went through this and it wasn't good, and I'll never attempt it again. I took a driver's test and I didn't pass it. I failed the driver's test. I will never drive. I will never drive. I can't master it. And then try 2 or 3 months later, you may do fine. Take some lessons, you may do fine. So we tend to put ourselves in a negative way, in a negative point of view. Or we try to project and put other people on the negative and us okay. It can take the two extremes, and both extremes are wrong. So let's see. Here's the next one. Fortune teller error. I know it seems a little odd, but this is what it is. You imagine bad things are going to happen, and you believe it as a fact. I know that I'm going to fail, so therefore, it's a fact. I'm already going to fail, and because I know I'm already going to fail, I'm going to fail. And that means there's no way that I'm ever going to be a success. So what are you predicting? It's called the fortune teller kind of assumption. But you are, in a sense, fortune telling. You're saying, I'm never going to be right. I'm never going to be able to do this right. I'm never going to be able to pass this test. I'm never going to be able to graduate from college. And so therefore, I'm never going to be able to be a success because I can't graduate from college. And so I flunked out of school, and I'm never going to be able to take any kind of a program and pass with it because I can't do the work. I just can't. If you look into a work situation and you have a career and you're looking into a work situation, because I did this at work and I made a mistake, that means I'm never going to be able to progress and get another job or have a promotion. Why? Because I'm always making mistakes. They all blend together and they all come around to one thing. I'm a failure, other people are successes. I'm a failure. Now, that's not a good way to live, but a lot of people live that way. I had one student tell me, I'm always going to be nervous. I'm very nervous. I'm always going to be nervous. There's no chance I'm ever going to overcome it. I'm just going to be nervous. And I asked him, what are you nervous about? I don't know. It's just I have a problem and I'm nervous. I'm always nervous. I can't do anything before the public. I'm so nervous I can't do it. I'm scared to death, so I can't do it. What are you afraid of? I don't know. It just happens all the time. So what he's done is he's put himself in a situation where he knows he's going to fail. The problem is he may fail, but it's something of his own doing, not because that it has to be that way, but he thinks it has to be that way. This is where perception is everything, because you think, therefore, you believe what you think is true, and your perceptions or whatever you think is actually going to cause you to believe in a certain way, and you're going to feed your fears with your perceptions. If I perceive I'm going to fail, and I keep trying, and sure enough I fail, I believe that failure is a part of my personality, and I can't get over it. So therefore, that's the way it's going to be for the rest of my life. I will never be a success. But I won't allow myself to be a success because I believe that what I believe about myself is true. Whatever you believe in your perceptions is your truth. And if you think you're a bad person and you actually believe it, you won't allow anything that seems to be positive in your life to take over. Why? Because it would prove that your thinking process was wrong, and your thinking process can't be wrong. What you think has to be right. So if I'm a failure, then I'm right in my perceptions. I can't allow anything to disrupt my perceptions because that's my truth, and I have to believe my truth. And when I believe my truth, then I know that I'm going to be a failure because that's just the way it is. And if that's the way it is, I have to live with it. There's no chance for me. And you can see how this becomes so negative. And it becomes so negative to the person who's thinking that way. And that's not the way that a person should be thinking. Yes, I made a mistake. There are other tries. I can do other things. Yes, there is more I can do. I can change things. I can try harder. I can do this, that, and the other. I can take lessons. I can work with things, you know. I'm a person that doesn't do well with computers. I just don't have the knowledge about computers. But I'm in my 80s. We never had computers growing up. I never knew what a computer was until I was in high school. And then finally, when I got to be a college professor, I knew what they were, but I didn't think I'd ever be able to use them. So for me, it would be easy for me to say, I can't do computers, so therefore, I'm a failure. Everybody's doing computers. I can't do computers. Why not have somebody teach me how to do it, how to do what I want to do on a computer, have somebody show me how, then I can do it. So now I work with tablets. I'm not saying I'm perfectly successful with tablets, but on the other hand, they are like mini computers, and I can do the things that I really need to do. But it doesn't mean I'm a genius at it, but it does mean that I can learn and I can grow. I can do what I need to do, and that's okay with me. That's the way it should be. I don't have to be good at everything in order to be good. You don't have to be good at everything in order to be good. You just have to accomplish what you need to accomplish for yourself and take satisfaction in that and not think negatively about yourself because there might be an area that you can't do. Even Einstein had areas that he couldn't do, and he was a genius. So therefore, you don't have to worry about your worth as long as you can start thinking positively about yourself. And this is what I'm going to try to teach you to do. And as a result of that, you're going to find that you feel much, much better. You're not so anxious. You're not so depressed. And there are a lot of things to consider. If you're having problems with anxiety and depression, it may be biological. You may have some kind of a problem in terms of your metabolism. Maybe your thyroid is off, or there could be a number of physical things going on. Maybe you're pre-diabetic, maybe you're diabetic, or maybe there are other things going on in your system that need to be corrected. Or maybe you just haven't learned how to think of yourself in a positive way. So let me go on with this. For the next one would be magnification or minimization. Magnification means that you blow things out of proportion and you exaggerate your errors and you downplay your good points. Yeah, I had a stage presentation and I missed it, so therefore it's going to be typical for me to miss things that are important. I can't do things right. And so my errors I will exaggerate in my own mind. And yet the good things that I do, I'll minimize. You know, I've seen people who say, I can't do public speaking. I just get freaked out. I am so tired of, I'm so afraid. And yet they do other things that are so good, other things for other people that are so good. If you're not good in one thing, you're probably good in another thing. But what you do in this kind of a disordered thought is you exaggerate whatever your errors are and you minimize your good points. And then you end up with a negative self-concept and you think that other people are thinking the same way about you, is the fact that you do errors. And when you do errors, you're not going to be able to come out of it. That's just not the case. The next one, and I say I probably won't have a chance to finish with this today, so I'll do it finish it the next time. Emotional reasoning is when you take emotions as evidence of proof. In other words, I feel good about myself today. I'm a good person. I don't feel good about myself today, so I'm a bad person. I did well in what I was trying to do, so therefore I'm happy, and I'm good, so therefore I'm a good person. Or I'm guilty. I feel guilty, and so therefore I must be guilty. What did you do that you feel guilty about? Oh, I don't know, but it must have been something. And it must have been something awful because I feel so guilty, but you don't know what it is. You framed yourself and put yourself in a box saying, I must feel guilty, I must have done something wrong. And then you go searching for that something wrong that you did, even though it may not be there. Well, I lied to this, or I did this, or I did that. And so therefore you characterize yourself as a negative failure because you made a mistake or something like that. And you take your emotions, and your emotions prove things. We teach people who are Christians, your feelings about Christianity doesn't prove that you're a believer or a disbeliever. If you say, well, I must be a Christian because I feel good about it, that's not proof. Or, I guess I'm not a Christian because I don't feel good about it. That's not proof that you're not a believer. You cannot base what you think about yourself based upon how you feel at any given time. I'm a good pastor because good things happened today, or I'm a bad pastor because good things did not happen today. Do not use emotions as proof of guilt or proof of being good. Emotions are important. You have them and you should have them, and there's nothing wrong with having them. But the thing is, you tend to misread them. I feel a certain way, so I must be that way that I feel. And that may not be based on truth, which is why I say these disordered thought patterns are not necessarily based on truth. I feel good, so I am good. Or I feel bad because I am feeling bad, so therefore I am bad. I'm a bad person. You can't use emotions as a foolproof method of who you are or what your values are. Emotions are important. We react to them. We need to have them. Our bodies have them. We can't go without them because this is just the way we are as human beings. We're built for them. but it doesn't prove anything one way or the other, whether you have them or whether you don't. So don't use your emotional reasoning as a way to prove your goodness or your badness or your self-concept in any way. So we don't have really time to complete this. I'll do the rest of this next time, and then I'm going to go on from there. So I just want you to know that if you're caught up in a kind of thinking that's not good for you and not helpful to you, that can be changed, and you can feel a lot better. So I'm going to close it here. Please join me next time.